Salutations and greetings, everyone. It is I, Dezire, once again here to cover another Sony fanboy, this time being that generic Eric. But any hoosers, let's get into that beautiful salt content! So under a tweet that was about Mystic Gaming and pretty much making fun of the fact that he's been crashing out like entirely since my Salt video, we have this beautiful content that reads,
"Too bad you don't call out the rest of your ilk. Instead, you got your head buried up all their asses instead."
Now, shall we begin?
So I like how he likes to try to take the high road and he tries to say, oh, your ilk are the problem. Well, here's a statement for you, that generic Eric. Do you want to go into your fucking past? Because I gotta say, you are definitely the person who should not be trying to take the high road. But you know what? Let's go ahead and get into that past, shall we? Like here, when you threatened to file a false copyright strike against Josh because he makes fun of you for being a crybaby. Or here, when you try to think of a woman as a sex worker because they don't like Sony. Wow. All because they don't like your little
plastic box that makes you cry.
And that's not even the worst part, chat. What about when you kept calling women the C word? Which, mind you, I have no problem with the C word. I just have a problem with it when you start using it on women. Because after all, it's like calling someone a dick. But when you're saying it to a woman, it's a completely different meaning. Oh, you think that's it? Oh, I'm sorry to tell you. There's a lot worse to be had. Like when you tried to state that Alex was trying to harass you, but was not. He was calling you out for making a false DMCA takedown. And now you're like, oh, he's trying to harass me and target me with harassment. When you don't know what you're talking about. Which, you like to use a lot of words without understanding their meaning. It's very apparent later in this video. He is calling you out for your bullshit. Because you can't be doing stupid, illegal bullshit. Oh, but you think this is the worst? No, it gets so much worse. In these tweets, he talks about people endgaming themselves. Yeah, what a great fucking guy, right? And you think this is the worst thing he does? I gotta tell you, it's just not true. The man is just fucking crazy. 3 tweets. Oh, and then he follows it up by saying, oh, you know, that's not a joke. You can't be joking about that. Like, come on, fucking generic Eric. Of all the people to try to take the high route, you should totally not be the one. But I gotta ask you guys again, do you think this is the worst thing he says? Because I gotta tell you, no is the answer. For in that generic Eric's infinite wisdom, all because a guy didn't like Dragon's Dogma, he weaponized a person with cancer. Let that fucking sink in. And that was just the intro so that we understand who that generic Eric is. Okay, everyone? Now let's get into the reason for this video. So this is why I started off with a tweet that said, hey, at that generic Eric, do you wish for me to make a video about you, dweeb? Remember, next time you wish to talk, grow a pair and don't do it behind a block like some weird guy who is mad nobody likes you. Also, name one time Gar of the Rage has done anything as bad as you, guy. So you know, obviously that generic Eric is gonna take that super well, right?
Yeah, he's a piece of shit, just like you.
Quite funny to call Gar and myself a piece of shit when you're the one who has disrespected people for cancer. You disrespected women just because they didn't like your plastic box. And you called a different plastic box a freaking Control-Alt-Delete cult. Do you know how fucking much of a deranged lunatic you look like? Oh, and before we get started, you can't state that we're slandering you because by definition, these are your own words. It's not false, my guy. I know that hurts your feelings.
Keep crying, nonce.
You're gonna regret it.
So that generic Eric, obviously you like using that word. Do you know what it means? Here's a statement, buddy. It is the definition of calling someone a PDF. It's what it means. But you want to sit there and you want to call me that when you have the audacity to be talking the same shit, saying that you wish that Xbox players were in a Control-Alt-Delete cult. Do you know what you're talking about? I find it appalling that there is human beings like you that cry over plastic boxes and say such disgusting and vile bullshit.
Too busy seething to make a coherent sentence, Dezire?
You serious?
Hey, Generic Eric, I know it's really hard for you to read, but my name is Dezire. There's a Z and it's only one E. If it was Dezire, it would be an S with two E's. Do you know why I made that joke in saying it? It's because I'm German, so I pronounce it with a harder Z. And I want you to think about that, because when you say the word desire, do you say it with a Z or do you say it with an S? Do you say desire or desire? Do you get the joke, everybody? Obviously, Generic Eric doesn't, because he's too much of a simpleton for any jokes. It just flies over his head. But I do find it kind of hilarious that a guy who's in his 30s, late 30s, mind you, is sitting there throwing Twitter tantrums all because I'm not a fucking Sony fanboy. And you like to use terms that you don't even know.
Never trust a man who stole the name of a diseased stripper from the ghetto.
What?
Oh, so now we're just gonna fucking be racist. Okay, that's understandable. I'm not really surprised by your antics today, Mr. Generic Eric. But you know, I know it's hard for you because you like to sit there and hide behind the block and then talk shit, and then you think that we won't call you out on your bullshit. Why? Because you're going to probably end up filing more false DMCA takedowns or stating, oh, it's harassment, when you obviously don't know what the fuck that means. And I find it fucking disgusting. I tried to state at least you wouldn't go that route, but here we are. You're going down the racist path. Good job, Generic Eric. You fucking sank to a whole new low. Now, for this next segment, I just want to bring this up, and I want to bring a point because Generic Eric has me blocked, but he says stuff like this, which I find hilarious.
Fucking clown has a lot of balls talking behind a block. I'll forever dog walk this clown, rent free.
Nice try, penguin. Nice try.
Don't you find it funny that these fanboys have the audacity to say such abhorrent bullshit and say such disgusting and deplicable shit, but they hide behind the block like they can't handle any form of people going after them for their bullshit that they claim? It's quite honestly pathetic. I feel bad for you, Generic Eric. I honestly do. Maybe one day you'll actually grow a pair of testicles and you won't block people just because they don't like your Sony thing and then talk shit about them. But here you are. It's what you constantly do because you're just a giant crybaby. Just a heads up, the Generic Eric also doubled down on that statement a little bit later where he tried to state that he has balls to at least tag people when he talks about them, saying,
You got a real bad habit of talking a lot of shit about a lot of people, but you haven't got the balls to tag any of us when you do it.
What?
So kind of like what you do to me and basically everyone else that is not a giant Sony fanboy. You sit there and you bitch and moan about Alex, you bitch and moan about me, you bitch and moan about Josh, you bitch and moan about basically everyone because you're too much of a pussy, you just block us, and then you talk shit. It's fucking weird. It's like some weird fucking obsessive ex. Like, what is wrong with you, bro?
Nothing invalid about the copyright strike, clown. Defamation of character and slander doesn't constitute free use of my content, retard. Cup harder, you discarded anal bead.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong.
So defamation of character is making false statements. Slander is making false statements. So when I prove you during this video, these being your exact words, is that slander or defamation? Correct statement is no, it is not. It is me calling you out on your bullshit. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, little guy. But don't worry, everyone. Now he starts crying about SirBruvian and SirBruvian's family. That's how fucking low he is.
A Tale of a Nuts featuring SirBruvian, Cold Eastwood, King Witty 24, and Eamon Burns. Birds of a feather flock together, as they say. This is your new king, Xbox. Another bigot. Just like the rest of you, be proud. Defend your bigoted nonce.
Do you even process what you say before you say it? Because you sound fucking stupid.
Hey, buddy, you do know that bigot means a person who is unreasonably attached to a belief, opinion, or faction, especially one who is prejudiced against or toward a person or people on the bias of their membership of a particular group. So kind of like how you are towards women who do not like PlayStation, towards anybody who is not PlayStation only, towards a person who had cancer, all because he didn't like a video game, and you try to throw that term around. Plus, you say that they're nonces when you don't know the meaning. I feel like you need to, for once, use this magical thing called Google. It'll help keep you from looking stupid like you are now.
Xbox podcaster Bruvian goes on a wild rant, implies if it wasn't for Game Pass, he would be lost and not able to put food on the table. He needlessly uses his own toddler as argument and then claims it's common sense to switch from PS5 to Microsoft's next hybrid PC/console. Skull emoji.
Then I suggest gainful employment or learning to manage money a little better. Imagine using your kid as an excuse. I love how he talks about common sense and then uses absolutely none. I can't wait for the handle to come out and do nothing they were expecting. But surely if he can't afford to buy a game, then he's not going to be able to afford the handheld, or the so-called new-gen Xbox. Or maybe he's just capping for his new brethren.
But you know what's the worst part of that conversation? And you could have seen it the entire time, but I'm gonna give it its own fucking thing because we need to be able to see exactly word for word what the generic Eric just said.
Probably, or his kid will starve and get in-gamed when he buys the new one. Since ends are already tough to meet, God knows he won't stop eating.
Generic Eric, you have the audacity to be talking about people's children passing away? What the fuck is wrong with you? All this because he is not a Sony First fan. That is so damn absurd, guy. What the fuck? I cannot believe that you have the audacity to say such shit. You scumbag!
Food, water, and shelter, these are necessities. Maybe worry about feeding your kid instead of gaming. Or better yet, get a better paying job so you can afford your hobby instead of breeding in squalor.
Oh my god, I think I gained a chromosome hearing all that.
You know, I do find it funny, everyone, that this is the guy that tried to take a holier-than-thou approach when handling and talking to me. However, he has the audacity to say such about people's families, especially one that most likely will put his family over gaming every single day of the week. But no, don't tell that guy. Also, don't tell him that there's a giant-ass recession going on in the United Kingdom. But what do I know? I just pay attention to the global news. Now, when I informed to Bruvian that this is what these guys are saying on the internet, this is what Bruvian had to say.
Bruv, he blocked me as soon as I started to engage with him. He is a coward and clearly a basement-dwelling incel that probably lives with his mother.
To which the generic Eric in his infinite wisdom cried, saying,
You're a Nazi, Eli. Shut the fuck up.
Which obviously prompted a lot of people to respond, and this was the generic Eric's response to their response.
I refer to him as Sir Nonce a lot.
You need to shut the fuck up.
You know, I find it quite appalling that a human being of your scale would sit there and state a word that you obviously know nothing of. And then you sit there and you get upset when we call you out on it. And then you block and then you call us that. It's kind of fucking saddening. It's almost like you can't grow a pair and be a man for once. Maybe Bruvian is correct and you do live with your parents with the way that you react. I wouldn't be surprised.
Look at you coming for larpers and grifters. Sad. No one wants shitbox garbage.
Enlighten the world. How is Gara or Bruvian a grifter? They don't even sell anything, dweeb.
Shitbox cult is in denial of the usual shill behavior. Low IQ stuff.
He's so fucking stupid, is flat out a grifter and doesn't even know what it means.
Really? Really?
Really?
Really?
Really? Really? Really?
Release restraint level 1.
You need to look at a fucking dictionary, generic Eric. I know that's really hard for you because it's a lot of words, but grifter means someone who gets money dishonestly by tricking people. It's a synonym for con artist. When does myself, Gara, or Bruvian do that? We never do. It feels like you're just upset and you use a term that you don't know, just like you do with nonce, which is not really surprising because you're too much of a fucking to do this magical thing called Google.
But hey, let's fight for Sony and use words we don't know. It makes us look super smart, right?
This fucking guy. But hey, generic Eric obviously knows the differences in time zones between America and the United Kingdom, right?
2:46 in the morning and you're crying about being called out for grifting while living on the poverty line. Maybe go to bed so you can send your kid off to school in the morning so he doesn't live in squalor like you.
Enough from the clown.
Don't you find it funny how he likes to talk shit about a guy who he's had blocked for the longest amount of time, and he just hides behind that fact because he's too much of a pussy to say it about the person to their face? Imagine talking about people's kids and then talking shit about people on their cancer, talking shit about women just because they don't like Sony, saying that the other plastic box is a Control-Alt-Delete cult, talking shit about basically anyone if they're not Sony first, Xbox bad, PC is terrible. That's all this guy does. It is so fucking saddening to see any human being have this fucking derangement syndrome that this guy obviously has. He is so fucking dumb, it's ridiculous. He even uses terms he doesn't know the definition of, and then he triples down on it. Couldn't be me, chat, but I hope you all enjoyed. If you did like this video, please leave a like and comment if you did. It does help out this channel. And if you do like this type of content, please consider subscribing. I do make a new video every single day. Take care, everybody.